Did you know that every major cybersecurity framework from ISO 27001 to NIST is built on just 3 core principles? These principles dictate whether company's data is safe or you're one breach away from a business and career-ending disaster. And yet, most security professionals don't know how to apply them correctly in real-world scenarios. But what do these real-life scenarios actually look like? That's a good question. Now, let's break it down. If a hacker steals sensitive customer data, that's a confidentiality breach. If someone manipulates financial records, that's an integrity issue. And if an attack takes your entire system offline, that's a failure of availability. Mastering these 3 principles isn't optional. It's the foundation of everything in cybersecurity. And today, we're leaving theories to focus on these principles that shape the daily lives of cybersecurity professionals. Whether you're a SOC analyst monitoring threats, right? Or a security engineer designing defenses, or a GRC expert enforcing policies, understanding the CIA Triad is non-negotiable. Now, in this video, I'm giving you the breakdown nobody teaches you in textbooks. What the CIA Triad really means beyond its definition, how different cybersecurity roles apply it daily, and the biggest CIA mistakes professionals make. Also, how to avoid them. And stick around to the end because I will show you how to leverage the CIA Triad for cybersecurity certifications like Security Plus and CSSP2. And if you get any value by the end of this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. So, at the core of cybersecurity, there are not 100 different rules to follow. Just 3 fundamental principles that determine whether your system stays secure or crumble under attack: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Or as every seasoned cybersecurity pro knows it, the CIA Triad. Confidentiality is about controlling access to sensitive data. Think of it as safeguarding trade secrets, customer records, or classified intel. If the wrong person gets their hands on it, you've got a confidentiality breach. That's why encryption, multi-factor authentication, and access control policies exist, just for that purpose. But what happens when confidentiality fails? See, that's where integrity comes in, because keeping data secret means nothing if it can be quietly sabotaged. Imagine a bank where transactions are altered without a trace. Customers wake up to missing money, but no one knows who changed the records. That's an integrity failure. And it's how cyber criminals quietly cause millions in damage. It's why we have hashing, digital signatures, and even strict change management processes to prevent issues like this from happening. Then, lastly, we have availability. This keeps systems running when they are needed most. If, for instance, a DDoS attack takes down a network or a ransomware attack locks up important files, there's an availability failure. Okay, redundancy, failover systems, and disaster recovery plans. This ensures that even when things go wrong, business doesn't grind to a halt. The point you need to note here is that a single weakness in any of the CIA Triad can set off a chain reaction. And this will create even bigger security risk. And that's why cybersecurity isn't just about fixing one issue at a time. It's about understanding how these threats connect. Because when one pillar of security falls, the others are not far behind. Now, the question is, so how do different cybersecurity professionals apply these principles in their daily work? So let's say you want to become a SOC analyst, okay? Every security alert you respond to, phishing attacks, malware infections, unauthorized access, they all boil down to protecting CIA. If you can quickly identify which part of the triad is under attack, you will become a stronger analyst for security engineers. Every firewall rule, encryption protocol, or security architecture decision you make is about ensuring CIA is built into the system. Recruiters and hiring managers, they want engineers who don't just know the tools, but understand why security measures matter. And in GRC, compliance frameworks like ISO 27001, NIST, HIPAA are all about ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And they do this through policies, audits, and risk assessment. So knowing how to map real-world security risks to CIA makes you a valuable asset. And whether you want to land a cybersecurity role, pass industry certifications, or get promoted, mastering the CIA Triad is a non-negotiable skill. Alright, so we've established that understanding the CIA Triad can help you stand out in your career. But how do you actually use it in your job or even during an interview to prove that you're cybersecurity minded and that you're capable of protecting an organization? That's what we're going to do now. Let's break it down practically. So the first way to use this knowledge to your advantage is to use it to strengthen your organization's security posture. If you're already working in IT, cybersecurity, or even non-technical role, you can apply the CIA Triad to improve security in the company. For confidentiality, you will make sure you prevent data leaks and unauthorized access. And to do this, if you handle sensitive company data, recommend stronger access controls like multi-factor authentication or role-based permissions. In confidentiality, you will also look at weak password policies, then advocate for password managers and security training. After that, the next part of strengthening your organization's security posture is using integrity to ensure accuracy and then prevent data manipulation. You will help implement integrity checks, whether it's audit logs for sensitive documents or hashing for critical data files. Let's take a look at this. For instance, if you work in finance, maintaining integrity could be in the form of pushing for automated validation controls that ensure that transactions and reports can't be altered without proper authorization. Then, lastly, there's availability, right? This means you will keep systems and services running smoothly, all right? Smoothly. Now, if you're part of a team, you can ask your IT team about disaster recovery plans and backup procedures. In a case where there is none, you provide one. It could also be as simple as, if you notice that the system frequently crashes, you flag it as a potential availability risk and then propose redundancy solutions. Now, the second way knowing this principle helps your career is to use it to prove your cybersecurity mindset in interviews. See, even if you're not yet in a cybersecurity role, right, demonstrating your CIA-based security principles can set you apart from other candidates. And you can do this in a few different ways. For instance, during your interviews, give scenario-based answers. If an interviewer asks, how would you secure company data? Structure your response around confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This may sound like, to protect our customer data, we should implement encryption, that's confidentiality, okay? Ensure logs and backups, that's integrity, and have a disaster recovery plan, and that's availability. A simple yet insightful answer. Another way is to ask smart questions, okay? So at the end of an interview, ask a question like, how does your company approach CIA principles in risk management? This shows you think strategically about security. If it turns out that this concept is not something they know, you have just highlighted a different value you can bring to the organization. Now, moving on, the third way CIA Triad knowledge can help you stand out is applying it to career growth and certifications. Yes, if you want to land a cybersecurity role or get certified, make CIA your mental framework for understanding security concepts. For example, for Security Plus and CISSP, almost every security question ties back to one of these three principles. And I will explain this in detail shortly, okay? Then, CIA also applies to your job readiness. You know, whether you're a SOC analyst, security engineer, or GRC expert, applying CIA to real-world problems makes you a better professional. And it doesn't even matter if you're an entry-level employee, a seasoned professional, or someone trying to break into cybersecurity. The CIA Triad is a practical, actionable framework that can make you more valuable to your company and even more competitive in the job market. But the thing is, there are a few mistakes professionals still make even with their knowledge of this framework. And I'll be shedding more light on that soon, okay? Now, understanding the CIA Triad is great, but how do you prove it? Whether in an exam or a job interview, you need to show that you don't just know cybersecurity, you think like a cybersecurity professional. That is where certification comes in. If you're preparing for a cybersecurity certification, let me save you some serious frustration. You need to master the CIA Triad first. And why is very simple. Every major cybersecurity exam, from Security Plus to CISSP to CISM, built around these three principles I've been talking about since the beginning of this video. But do you want to know where most people go wrong? They memorize the definitions without understanding how they actually apply in real-world scenarios. And that's exactly what the exams will test you on. You know, I get a lot of messages from people asking how they can break into cybersecurity. It's tough, especially if you're like how I used to be, stuck in a job that doesn't pay enough, or feeling like you've hit a wall. I get it. That is why I created something more than just these videos you're watching. Something structured, practical, and focused on real action. It's called the 5-day Cybersecurity Job Challenge. This isn't just content you'll binge and forget. We're talking hands-on learning, real skills, and daily guidance. 2 hours a day for 5 days. It's all designed to push you from thinking about change to actually making it happen. Look, I love making these YouTube videos, but let's be honest, how many times have you watched a great video, thought, I'm going to do something about that, and then didn't? That is why this challenge is different. It's designed to be your support, okay? We're not just learning, you're giving tasks, actionable steps every single day with live Q&As where I personally help you avoid mistakes and land the jobs that will change your life. Watching my videos is great, but if you want to go beyond watching, if you're ready to take real steps toward a $250,000 career a year, come join the challenge. The link is in the description below. You can't miss it. Now, enjoy the rest of this video, but don't forget to come back when you're ready to take that next step. Take Security Plus, for example. You may come across a question like, a company is hit with a ransomware attack that locks employees out of their files. Which part of the CIA Triad is affected? That's an availability failure. Now, in the CISSP exam, the question could be something similar to, a financial firm needs to ensure transactions cannot be modified by unauthorized users. Which CIA principles is this? That is integrity. And if you're studying for CISA, CISM, or even ISO, expect questions about access control. Let's say a hospital restricts patient records to authorized doctors and nurses. What are they enforcing? That is confidentiality. Sensitive data should never be accessible to unauthorized users. Do you see the pattern? So every cybersecurity risk, attack, or security measure ties back to one of these 3 principles. And once you understand this, answering exam questions becomes a whole lot easier. For certifications, a simple tip I like to share with beginners is, if you ever get stuck on a tricky exam questions, just ask yourself, which part of the CIA Triad is being protected or validated? If it's about keeping information private and secure, it's a confidentiality issue. Think encryption, access control, or multi-factor authentication. And if the question is focused on preventing unauthorized changes to data, that's integrity, which means things like hashing, digital signatures, and checksums are what you need. Lastly, if the problem is about making sure systems and data are accessible when needed, that's availability. So you'll be looking at backups redundancy and DDoS protection. See, the best part is, once you get this down, everything else in cybersecurity starts making sense. You won't just memorize concepts, you will actually think like a security professional. So if you're studying for Security Plus, CISSP, or any other cybersecurity exam, start with the CIA Triad. Master it, and suddenly the rest of your studying becomes so much easier. Okay? And now that you understand why the CIA Triad is critical for both security roles and certifications, let's talk about something that even seasoned professionals get completely wrong. And like I said before, knowing the CIA Triad isn't enough if you don't know how to apply it correctly. And I see people making the same costly mistakes over and over again. So let's break down a few of these mistakes and how to avoid them in your own career. Mistake number 1 is treating CIA principles in isolation. One of the biggest misconceptions is thinking that confidentiality, integrity, and availability are separate priorities, when in reality, they must work together. For example, some companies go all in on confidentiality, right? Encrypting everything, restricting access, and adding layer after layer of security. But they completely forget about availability. Now, what you have at the end of the day is a slow, clunky system that frustrates employees and even kill productivity. On the flip side, some organizations as well, they focus entirely on integrity. They implement strict audit trails and change management policies, but then they fail to properly secure those logs. Now, if attackers gain access to those records, they can manipulate them undetected. So what am I saying? Security isn't about choosing one principle over the others. It's about balancing all three. If one is too weak or too strong, it creates vulnerabilities elsewhere. Okay? Now, what's mistake number 2? Ignoring availability until disaster strikes. See, a lot of companies think that confidentiality and integrity are the only real concerns. They pour millions into firewalls, encryption, and monitoring systems, but they forget about failover systems, redundancy, and even disaster recovery. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a DDoS attack takes down their entire network. A ransomware attack locks their files. A server failure wipes out critical data with no backups. And suddenly, it doesn't matter how well they protected their data because no one can access it. So the question is, what good is the data if it's locked away when you need it most? Availability is just as critical as the other two as well. So without it, even the best cybersecurity measures fail. And guys, one thing is clear. The third mistake you can make with the CIA Triad is thinking it only applies to IT teams. A lot of businesses make the mistake of treating cybersecurity as an IT issue. They assume that because they have a security team, the rest of the employees don't need to worry about breaches. But here is the brutal truth. Most security failures come from human error, not technology. Now, I will paint 3 scenarios we see all too often, okay? A hospital employee accidentally emails patient records to the wrong person, or a finance staff member falls for a phishing email, then hand over login credentials. And the popular one, where an employee uses a weak password that gets cracked in seconds. See, these are not technical failures. They are human mistakes, and they compromise the entire security posture of an organization. As a professional that may have to step in when things eventually go wrong, because they will go wrong, you will need to show your organization that cybersecurity isn't just an IT problem, it's a company-wide responsibility. The best firewall in the world won't stop a breach if employees don't understand simple basic security practices. At the end of the day, you can be a cybersecurity expert who understands the CIA Triad inside out. But if the people around you don't know how to avoid mistakes, your effort won't mean much. Because the truth is, technology alone doesn't prevent breaches. People do. And if they are not trained to protect the system, they'll be the ones to compromise it. Do you understand? Okay. So, we've explained how even professionals can get it wrong with the CIA Triad, and also how to avoid falling into the same trap. Now, the next thing is, let's look at something even more important. How does these principles apply to future of cybersecurity? And when I say the future, I'm talking about cloud security and artificial intelligence. See, 2 of the biggest trends shaping cybersecurity right now. More companies than ever are moving their infrastructure into the cloud. AWS, Azure, GCP, you name it. For obvious reasons. Talk about scalability, cost savings, and remote accessibility. But guess what? It also introduces new cybersecurity challenges. Confidentiality issues in the cloud means when your company's most sensitive data is stored off premises, you no longer control the physical hardware. That means data encryption and access management are more critical than ever. And as for integrity, cloud environments introduce shared responsibility models. Misconfigured settings can allow attackers to modify or delete data without detection. This is exactly how the 2019 Capital One breach happened, exposing over 100 million credit card applications. Availability also has its concerns. Cloud outages can cripple business in seconds. If AWS or Azure goes down, entire global networks can grind to a halt. This is why redundancy and failover systems are crucial, so businesses don't collapse when a cloud provider has an issue. What's the key takeaway here? The CIA Triad applies even more in cloud security because companies are trusting third parties to manage their infrastructure. If they don't take confidentiality, integrity, and availability seriously, they are one misconfiguration away from a catastrophic breach. And for you as a career beginner, there's an opportunity, and a big one. And what's this opportunity? If you position yourself as someone who not only understands the CIA Triad, but can apply it to cloud security, you will stand out in the job market. Now, how do you do this? Simple. Start by learning the fundamentals of cloud security. Okay, get a corresponding certification like AWS Certified Security Specialist. And even if you're just starting, understanding the shared responsibility model, like who is responsible for security between the cloud provider and the company, this will already put you ahead of most people. Now, let's talk about AI security, because while cloud security is a massive challenge, AI is creating a whole new challenge, a whole new level of cybersecurity threat that professionals must prepare for. AI is revolutionizing cybersecurity, but there is a downside. Okay, AI is a double-edged sword every professional must understand. Yes, AI-powered security tools can detect threats faster, automate security responses, and analyze massive data sets in seconds. But cyber criminals are also using AI. They are training AI to bypass security defenses, generate highly convincing phishing emails, and even create undetectable malware. So, how is the CIA Triad useful here? Because that's the good question. What are the issues the CIA framework deals with in relation to AI? Now, for confidentiality, AI systems rely on massive data sets, including sensitive corporate and personal information. If these training models are not secured, attackers can extract confidential data, turning AI into a data leakage risk instead of a security tool. And nobody wants that. And integrity also comes into question. Attackers can manipulate AI by feeding it false data, causing it to misclassify threats or make dangerous security decisions. This is called AI poisoning, and it's one of the fastest growing cybersecurity concerns. Availability too, as it's concerned, like AI-driven security tools automate threat detection, but what happens when cyber criminals overwhelm these systems with false alerts? If security teams can't filter real threat from AI-generated noise, critical systems become vulnerable. So what does all of this mean for cybersecurity professionals? It means that AI security isn't just about making AI smarter, it's about protecting it using the CIA Triad. Companies are rushing to adopt AI, but they're not always thinking about security. And that's why cybersecurity professionals who understand how to apply CIA to AI security will be in massive demand in the coming years. Your next move now should be preparing you to be a relevant professional in the future. Guys, we started this video talking about how the CIA Triad is the foundation of cybersecurity. And through the course of this video, we've expanded that concept to impact CIA will have in the future. Now, this is what I want you to take away from this. Cybersecurity is evolving. The rise of cloud security, AI-driven attacks, and next-gen threats means that professionals who understand and apply the CIA Triad in these areas will be the ones leading the future of cybersecurity. And if you want to stand out in this industry, don't just memorize cybersecurity principles, apply them. Okay, so this is what I want you to do next. Drop a comment below and tell me which part of the CIA Triad do you think is the most overlooked in cybersecurity. Let's discuss it. Then, of course, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more cybersecurity insights, career tips, in-depth breakdowns like this. Thanks for watching. I hope I've been able to leave you today better than I met you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.